Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we're going to be looking at my 1/12 scale pumpkin collection. While it is meagre to look at right now, I do plan to expand it in the future. So we're just going to go through all of my different pumpkins and we're going to break down exactly which one is my favourite and why it is actually my favourite. Because I think if all of... Hey, what are you doing? What, that? Oh, that's just the Legend Creations Infinity War Thor figure I just got in the post. Yeah, it's a Hot Toys KO. Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, come back. Look here. Yep, that's it. This is my 1/12 scale pumpkin collection. It's a pumpkin video, guys. So anyway, I think if I had to break down my favourite pumpkin out of all of them, this is actually my favourite. I really like the way they've sort of broken up all the segments here. They're really nicely spaced out. They've got some nice carvings in there. The LED is really good. And it's all very hollow inside. And I think if I had to just get rid of all of them and just choose one, I think it would have to be, hey! What are you doing? Look here. Stop looking there. There's nothing here for you. It's all about the pumpkins now, yeah? Excellent. Anyway, going on, I think you can see this is my Nightmare Before Christmas pumpkin. And this is probably my oldest pumpkin that I have in the collection. I've had it for quite a while. Oh, come on. Seriously? You're not going to let me do this, are you? You just want to see this horrible KO, don't you? Well, curiosity has got the better of you, hasn't it, again? Fine. Okay, right, okay. Looks like we're changing tack. We're going to review this thing. And then we're going to do like a full 3-hour marathon of why I like my 1/12 pumpkins. Deal? Deal. Okay, guys. Here is the 1/6 scale Legend Creations Avengers Infinity War Thor review. This is the bit where the intro comes in. Man, I was just about to get into the real nitty-gritty nooks and crannies of all those different pumpkins. But never mind. I guess you guys just want this old shit again. So let's have a look at it. This is the Legend Creations 1/6 scale Avengers Infinity War Thor. This is obviously a KO of the Hot Toys version, even down to the box. You can see they've absolutely ripped it off, even to the point where they've actually put in the cutout tab here. You've even got the foil Avengers Infinity War print on the front there. They've even copied the art, and you can actually feel there's some sort of spot UV in there. So I don't know whereabouts, but yeah, there is definitely some matte and gloss in that box there. And you can see the print is quite nice, but obviously there's a bit of dulling down from the original box. If we turn it to the side, we can see it's got the print of Thor. Again, some spot UV, got the gauntlet there, and the Avengers logo. And on the back, we've got Thor, Legend Creations, all the warnings you want, not for anything under 3 years. Don't give this to anyone under 15, honestly. And then same on that side. And at the top, we've got Thor and the Avengers logo. And on the bottom, we've got Avengers Infinity War Thor. And it looks okay, it's not too bad. Again, it's the usual flimsy thin cardboard that they use. But once we slide it off, here's the box underneath. You can just see it's got the window panel showing off the figure. It's got Thor's hammer logo on the side. There is nothing on the back except for a very faint printed Avengers logo, and then again some computer work with the Thor logo on that side. Pretty much nothing on that side except for a spot foil Avengers logo, and that's it. Okay, let's open up the box and let's have a really good look at this thing. And here he is, just straight out of the box. I've taken everything out and I've got him standing just in front of us. And honestly, it's very much a mixed bag. I mean, it is a HC Toys figure, so you would expect it to be. It's quite competently made in certain areas, and it's the same usual sort of HC Toys half-arsing bits in other areas. I mean, the main first thing that you can see straight off the bat is this. He's actually missing the shin guard, or maybe the top of the boot you'd like to call it, but he's missing the shin guard. Gone. I mean, it does advertise that he comes with two. It wasn't like they showed a picture of one missing. So it is supposed to come with both shin guards on. However, I have emailed the seller to see if they can't forward me another one to see if I can't sort of counterbalance that. So be very careful. If you do end up getting one of these guys, make sure it comes with all the parts, because some may be missing. Great QC. Accessory wise, this guy doesn't come with much. You can see that he actually comes with the axe here, and while I was unboxing it, I saw that it was incredibly wonky. The thing comes all bent, all this stem is bent and wonky and all that type of stuff. So I decided to go ahead and try and warm it up with a hairdryer and fix it, and I have straightened it a little bit, but it still needs a little bit more warming up and straightening, but it can straighten up. So that's not a big deal, because what they've done is they've recast the two pieces, the handle and the axe piece, but obviously there was some mold shrinkage in one part more than the other, so they decided to try and put it all together, and it comes all sort of wonky like this inside. So what I did was I warmed it up and I freed it from this housing here, and you can actually take this out if you really want, and you get the two pieces just here. So then what I decided to do was put it all back in, and you can just warm it back up and get everything aligned as you so wish, and then you can glue it down. But obviously, because of the sizing difference, it's very likely that this won't close fully if you try and put it straight, because the only way they could get it to close fully was to put that axe in wonky. So if you're going to straighten it up, I would say semi-glue it just here like that, and then this gap here you will need to probably fill it somehow, maybe with some model filler, or maybe even, you know, some milliput or some Needle-Tite like I use. Just put it all in there to keep it steady. You know, try and maybe sculpt in a little bit of the wood carving, but then obviously paint it brown, and that'll fix it. And then you'll kind of get a straight-ish axe. It's still a bit wonky, but it's something. And obviously, whereas it's like the recast of the Hot Toys version, it was undersized to begin with, so this is going to be even slightly more undersized. I would say get yourself a Bad Tomato axe if you can afford it. They are much better. The detail is lost a little bit in the Bad Tomato, but it is big enough and impressive enough to look really cool with your figure. But paint wise, it's not too bad. You can see they've done this sort of gunmetal paint in here. They've painted it all silver, and it's quite nicely reflective. They've got all the sculpting detail in the sides. I think there's usually supposed to be some wording or something there. I'm not 100% certain. But it's not too bad. You can see all the bindings are quite nicely painted in there. Not too messy. It goes all the way down, and there is a leaf that hangs down the bottom here. But I've removed it because I was warming all this up. I knew that leaf would break off. So I took it off, and I'm going to re-glue it back on once I've finished modifying this properly. He also comes with some lightning pieces for his chest. Unfortunately, the figure does not light up, which is a shame. They still look quite cool. Obviously, I think you're going to have to warm these up and re-straighten them a little bit because they've come a little bit wonky. It's exactly what you would expect from a KO like this. They're all a bit sloppy and wonky, but they're actually quite nice effects. They've got this nice little pearlescent shine on here to make it look like it's a bit shining, and they've also even painted in some of the blue around the edge to give it more of a lightning effect, which ain't too bad. And you get 2 for the top, 2 for the middle, and 2 for the bottom. And one of the problems I've had is I've been able to take these 4 off, but it's been a bit more difficult to remove these. So I'm going to have to be very careful, and when I'm trying to put these on, make sure I don't damage anything, because then it won't work either way. And then he comes with 2 lightning effects. I think these are supposed to go on the axe, but actually I think these are part of the forearm, because there's a big sort of loop here where they're supposed to put an arm through usually, and that's usually for the forearm. And it's the same with this one, but he's obviously been misshaped, and it's sort of bent and crooked, so that needs warming up again and reshaped. Sadly, he doesn't come with any other hands. He does come with 2 gripping fisted hands, but if you're a 1/6 scale collector, you should have some spare hands floating around, so it shouldn't be too hard to swap those hands out with others if you so wish. Okay, we're going to go Gonzo style and have a look at this head sculpt, and I have to say, it's not that bad considering how bad it really could be. This is not the worst they've ever done. It's pretty nice for a KO. It's not, you know, it's no stretch of the imagination is it better than the original, but you can see they've actually done some work and kept a lot of the lines very clean around the hair. They've actually gone ahead and kept a lot of the detail in the sculpt, and they haven't done like a glossy finish to it. And there's even sort of skin pitting in there. You can actually see the paint flecks in the cheekbones. And for once, the eyes are pretty straight. But of all the paint apps they've ever done, this is not the worst. They've even got the tiny little blemish here on his cheek. The tone of the face is still consistent with the tone of the neck. You can see all the paint flecking they've put in there. it's really not the worst they've ever done. It's really not bad. I hate to say that. The hair lets it down because you can see the sort of shininess of it. It's nice and straight, but you can see it's very, very shiny. It sort of fades a little bit down the bottom here, and obviously these scarring pieces where they've sort of butchered his hair. But that's where the sculpt is let down, is with this hair paint. It's sort of, they've done a reasonably nice job, but it's definitely a bit shiny and a bit plasticky. But the rest of it, they've even managed to get some of the hair details in the face here. You know, that's really not bad for HC Toys. When we come down, we can see the actual chest. They've done some work here. You can see the mispainting just here. They've sloppily done that. But the rest of it is done quite well. You can see it's been a recast of the original. And when you look around the back, you can actually see there's a little bit of warpage in the torso, but it's not much. And I genuinely think if they'd actually put the effort in, they probably could have put a light up feature in this. They've done it with their Iron Man, so they could definitely do it with this. You can see they've even painted in these bits, sort of the bronzy brown here. They've kept sort of a bit of dry brushing in, and these discs here, they're okay painted, but you can see it's definitely sort of like a transfer on there. Same all the way down, and they've changed the colour here to make it look a bit more brown. And we come down into trousers, and there's a lot of detail in the trousers actually. They've got all the panels, they've got the knee pad bits, although these knee pads are a bit wonky. I'm not sure if I need to actually futz with this to try and get everything twisted, but I think the actual pleather of these trousers was stitched a bit wrong. So they are a bit wonky, and they will remain that way unless you really futz with it and try and fight with it to spin round a bit better. You can see these arm gauntlets here. They've even done some dry brushing on these, and this is where it sort of it's half cool, half bad. Like I said, it's the sort of HC Toys make some effort and then half-ass the rest type thing, because they've actually used like a silicone to actually cover the arms. So this is like a really sort of soft silicone that's really nicely sculpted. It has the single jointed arms that actually has that sort of bulge in the joint here, and that's quite hard to actually bend because the silicone restricts it, but also at the same time it can actually force the come on, one-handed as well. How's that for you? You can see it sort of rucks up a little bit there. But they're quite nicely painted. They're sort of like a sort of gunmetal mixed with a sort of darker metal in there. Looks like really cool chainmail. And the same on this side. But this is the weird thing. Now, HC Toys tend to always over bulk their figures. Look at their old Deadpool figure. That thing was massive. They just put him in the biggest body they could find, and it looked ridiculous. And yet this guy, who's supposed to have like arms of a god, is the first one, I think, where they've sort of half-assed it and not actually given him the big old arms he deserves, which is a bit weird. And then we come around and we can see that cape, and this cape it's okay. It's a bit creased, and you know, you probably need to put this like in a bathroom while it's steaming to try and knock out some of those creases, because it was all in a box. But it's okay made. It's not great, but it's got a nice shiny shimmer to it like a satin, and then they've even put like a cool sort of smooth grey on the inside here, and it is a little puffy, but it's not the worst cape I've ever seen. I've seen actually worse on a real hot toy, but it's okay. You can even probably mod this and put wires in it to have it flowing if you really want. And then we've got the boots down here. We can see one of the shin guards is missing. You can see on the back of the boot here, they've even gone around and weathered it. Like I said, they really do like good things sometimes. They'll actually put some effort into certain parts and then, you know, forget about the rest, which is really stupid. And then you can see, let's just pop this off the stand a second, and you can see they've even put the print on the bottom of the boots and even done a little bit of weathering on them. Yeah, tiny leg, man. You skipping leg day again, Thor. Shame. If we come around the back, we can see all the detail in those trousers and all those panels and lining. Like I said, they did a half decent job. I think I'd have to do a lot of futzing with this to try and get it to work properly. When we come up around the back, in the middle here where that dry brushing is, that the mold was warped a little bit. And QC has reared its ugly head once again. Good old HC Toys. You can see that the arm popped off at the forearm with the joint, and it took the entire piece of chainmail armor with it as well. So now I'm going to have to try and get this all the way back up and get it all fitted back into place. But it looks like it's not going to be too hard a job, so it shouldn't be too much trouble. But yeah, be careful when you're bending this guy. Like I said, these joints with that sort of singular joint arm, not great. Okay, and just quickly, this is what it looks like with the panels taken off. You can see there's no light features in there. You can actually see some of the torso joint piece in there at the back. You also see some of the butterfly joint for the arms at the back there, which is very weird. Okay, because I need height clearance, I had to swap shelves. That's why it looks a little bit different around here. Okay, what I managed to do is fix the axe and straighten it a bit more and stop that from being a little bit more wonky. I have put all the electricity discs on him, including the ones here that are supposed to go on the wrists, but this is a little small. I'm not sure where that's supposed to go, maybe on the end of here. Who knows? But they're all on there now, and he's looking, I don't know, pretty good if you ask me. They even managed to, I just noticed, put the different eyes in. You know how he had a robotic eye? Well, they've changed the iris colours so they don't look exactly the same. One of the main problems I've had is the problem I've had with every single one of these HC toy figures, which is the wrist pegs once snapped straight away. And I'm actually really careful. I'm fully aware that the wrist pegs are flimsy on these things, and yet still I managed to break one. So just be very cautious, or do yourself a favour, go out there and get yourselves some more wrist pegs so that you can swap them over as soon as possible so that it doesn't stress you out too much. Oh, and if you're going to try and take the hands off, heat them up. And by heat them up, I mean, you know the time I tell you to heat them up with a hairdryer for a little while? Yeah, once you've done it for a little while, double that duration and do it twice as long, because it really needs to be soft in order to come off those wrist pegs without damaging it, really. But as you can see, it doesn't look too bad, does it? It's still, you know, it's still a KO. They still ripped off Hot Toys, and it's still a pretty cheap figure. But for the price you pay, I'd kind of consider this a bit like an oversized Marvel Legends. And you can have it in your collection in the background maybe. Maybe he's in the background jumping up like this and you need him for an action thing. Maybe you need an action diorama, maybe you need to battle damage it. What I think would be really good is if you're quite handy with painting, you can paint some electricity around the eyes and things like that and give this guy a far more dramatic look. You could also even paint the eyes fully white so he looks like he's actually going into turbo mode, which would be really cool. But posing wise, it's not too bad. You can kind of get it, the arms bent a little bit, but not too much. And you can see that it seems to work out okay. I've got him on Iron Man's Infinity War stand, if you're wondering. Here's the flimsy stand it comes with. It's that usual cheap Age of Ultron base. And you can see the sticker here. If I turn it right, you can just about see the line printing where they've used this cheap sticker decal on the top here. It's not great, it's not terrible. I quite like the wording here. It's like a silver Thor, which is pretty good, but it's a waist grabber, not a crotch grabber. It is a shame that it doesn't come with any light up features. That would be really cool. A little bit of modifying is what's needed. Maybe some weathering on these pleather trousers. You have to try and add some paint here because it's sort of rubbed off, or it never came with it in the first place. But you can get some reasonable action poses out of it if you really want. And I quite like these effects. They work really well. They've actually got this like sort of pearlescent reflection just here in these parts. And paint wise, it's miles away from the original HC Toy stuff they do. It's a lot better than the Iron Man they do. The Iron Men are rubbish. But since we've last seen them, every time they step away from the Iron Man, they tend to do a little bit better. I suppose the Bucky one doesn't count. If you're interested in seeing a Bucky review, just let me know and I'll see if I can grab one and do the review for you. As a budget release, it's not too bad. Again, it's a shame it is a KO and the quality is really not there. I'm going to do a comparison video with the official version, and when you see it, it will be worlds apart. This is a lot better. It's going in the right direction, but they're definitely not as good as a Hot Toy. And to be fair, you shouldn't expect the quality of a Hot Toy because you're not paying for the quality of a Hot Toy. It's certainly making me appreciate what Hot Toys do a hell of a lot more doing reviews for these figures. But it could be a worthy purchase for anyone who's planning to pick one up and mod it. You could swap heads with other figures. You could even make your own custom sort of comic book Thor based on this if you really wanted to. You just got to work out what you're doing. And also, you could also maybe give him a Mjolnir. In fact, give me a second. Hang on. There you go. Yeah, he's bossing it now. But do yourself a favour. If you love Thor and you love Hot Toys, go out and buy the official release because it is miles better than this. But as a basis for some good modding, this ain't a bad start. This is not as good as the Hellboy they did. It's not as good as the Joker they did. But it's a darn sight better than any of the Iron Men they have done. But do yourself a favour. Always go with the original if you can. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. And if you could do me a favour now, if you could follow me over to the corner, I really want to talk about these pumpkins a little bit more. There's one I really want to show you. It's awesome. I mean, oh God. Oh wow. Like it's even got a light up feature in it. You can pop this off here and you can just turn it on. And let's try and get the switch on here. It'll just light up.